Okay, in this video we're going to learn how to subtract a mixed number from a whole number. Okay, many people or many students were tempted just to subtract the whole numbers. So what I saw is a lot of students said 7 minus 2 is 5, and then they just brought the fraction down, 5 1/4. Now, let's take a look at a little bit easier fraction so we can see that that's really not the way you do it. Let's take 2 minus 1 1/2, and this is going to be a little easier to see. Well, in my head, I already know that if I take 1 1/2 away from 2, I'm only going to have 1/2 left. But let's do it the way that a lot of kids did it and just subtract the whole numbers and bring the fraction down. Well, what I find when I do that is if I just subtract the whole numbers, what I'm getting is I'm getting 1, and then if I bring my fraction down, 1 1/2. Well, when this is easy to see. I know that if I take 1 1/2 away from 2, I certainly don't end up with 1 1/2. So what is the proper way to do this? Let's take a look. Let's take 2 1/2, or 2, minus 1 1/2. Okay, I'm going to take this, and I know that if I have a fraction here, that I have to have a fraction here up on top. So I'm going to regroup my 2, and I'm going to make that 2. I'm going to take that 2 and I'm going to cross it out and put a 1, and then I'm going to look at my denominator right here on the bottom, and I'm going to say that I need a 2 over 2. That's my 1 that I'm going to take off. So I just converted this 1 that I regrouped into 2 over 2, which I know is 1. So now I can subtract. I subtract my whole numbers. 1 minus 1 is 0. And then I subtract my numerators. 2 minus 1 is 1. And of course, my denominators do not subtract. So I have 1/2. All right, so let's take this to our little bit more complicated fraction. It's the same process. Okay, this was wrong, so we're not going to do it that way. What I need to do is I need to look, and I need to regroup. And if I look right here, down here, that's one of my vocabulary words. I need to regroup. How do I know what to regroup? I need a fraction on top because I have a fraction on bottom. So I need to subtract 1/4. If I only subtract the whole numbers, I'm not subtracting the 1/4. So I need to regroup my whole number on top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my whole number, I'm going to get rid of that whole number right there, and I'm going to put a 6. Now I have 1 that I need to regroup. What's my regroup look like? I'm going to look at my denominator on my other fraction right here, my denominator, and I know that my 1, my form of 1, needs to look like that denominator. So I'm going to, on top, I'm going to put a 4 over 4. So I know that 6 plus 4 over 4 equals 7. So that's what regrouping is. So now I'm going to subtract my whole numbers. So 6 minus 2 is 4. And I'm going to subtract my numerators. 4 minus 1 is 3. And I have 3/4 because my pieces stay the same. I have 4 pieces in my whole. So my answer is 4 3/4. So a couple review things. When I have a fraction, a mixed number, let's say 4 1/3, and I'm subtracting it from a whole number on top, what I need to do is I need to make sure that I regroup my whole number so that I have a fraction up here to subtract my 1/3 from. If I only subtract the whole numbers, I'm not going to get the right answer. So I'm going to regroup my 8 right here. I'm going to regroup my 8. I'm going to put a 7. I'm going to look at my denominator down here, and I know that my regroup number up here needs to look like my denominator because I need common denominators to subtract. So I'm going to take my 8, and I have 1 up here that I need, so I'm going to put 3 over 3. That is what regrouping is. I take 1 away from the whole number, and I put a fractional form here, 3 over 3. And I know that I need that form by looking at my denominator. So now I have 3, and I subtract the numerators, that's the whole numbers. So 3 minus 1 is 2, and then I keep my denominators the same. I hope that helps. Thank you.